Hey everyone! Before we begin today, we wanted to invite your feedback on the show. We'd really love to hear your thoughts on potential topics and guests, as well as what you enjoy about the show and how we can make it even better. So please email us your thoughts at info@syncreate.org and we'll follow up with you. Creativity and community are absolutely vital in challenging times. Creativity is also consistently named one of the top skills of the 21st century, particularly with the advent of AI. Welcome to Syncreate, a show where we explore the intersections between creativity, psychology, and spirituality. We believe everyone has the capacity to create. Our goal is to demystify the process and expand the boundaries of what it means to be creative. What holds us back? Why do we get stuck, and how can we fully embrace our creativity? We talk with visionaries and change makers and everyday creatives working in a wide range of fields and media, from the arts to science, business, and technology. We aim to illuminate the creative process from imagination to innovation and everything in between. I'm Melinda Rothouse, and I help individuals and organizations bring their dreams and visions to life.
Hi, and I'm Charlotte Gulick, and I'm a writer, educator, and writing coach. We are the co-authors of a book on the creative process, also called Syncreate. At Syncreate, we're here to support your creative endeavors. If you have an idea for a project or a new venture, and you're not sure how to get it off the ground, find us at syncreate.org. Our book, now available in both print and audiobook format, walks you through the stages of the creative process so you can take action on your creative goals. We offer resources, creative process tools, and coaching to help you bring your work to the world, including our monthly creativity coaching group. We'd be delighted for you to join us. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Syncreate podcast. We're so excited that you're with us, and we really do want to hear your feedback about what we could cover on the show and how we can help you be more empowered. So today we're going to talk about the places you'll go and creativity as a path of adventure. And Melinda and I, we spend a lot of time together talking about creativity, and we're kind of doing this like pullback view of creativity is basically everywhere and it is for everyone. And maybe one of the things we could offer our audience and ourselves is the idea of how do we appreciate and cultivate gratitude for how the creativity is just already one part of our life. And so, what we'd like to do today is expand the idea of creativity to the idea of where do we go? Where has it taken us? If we had not been people who said yes to creativity, we may not have these experiences in our lives. So we wanted to talk about that. To just kind of recap that, creativity brings us a lot of benefits beyond the obvious. And we want to talk about the places you can go both literally and figuratively with your creativity. So for me, um, someone who said yes to creativity as a way to kind of finish college because I was not doing great in my undergrad experiences. And it's when I started to write a novel that I started to find some traction in my own academic studies, because for me, I needed to bridge where I came from with where I was going. And so creativity and specifically writing became that path. And it led me to all kinds of people and all kinds of adventures. But one of them is like, if you would have told 17-year-old Charlotte that she would go to Burning Man, I don't think she would have been like, "What?" So yes, I have been to Burning Man, old school Burning Man when it was like in the 90s. And it was a wild, intense experience, but I probably would have never said yes to that if I hadn't said yes to my creativity. How
Yeah.
about you, Melinda? Did anything pop into your head?
Well, I'm actually curious, how did 17-year-old Charlotte get into writing? I don't know if I've ever heard that story of how you actually got interested in writing and pursuing writing so seriously.
Do you want the flash fiction or the novel version? No.
Well, let's see.
So I was at community college. I was the first in my family to go to college. Um, And I was struggling a lot, but I was a reader. Like, I had
Mhm.
read a lot,
Yeah.
and, I had a professor write on one of my papers that I had written right at the last minute. He's like, "This is brief but brilliant. You should consider an English major. You're a natural." And I was
Wow.
like, "Okay." So just the
Amazing.
power of someone saying, "Hey, you might have a little bit of an affinity for this."
Mhm.
Um, and then when I transferred to UC Santa Cruz, I got into the creative writing major,
Mhm.
which was at that time really hard to get into. I tried 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Um, and it's actually through poetry that I was accepted, not with my fiction.
Amazing. But persistence. You
Yes.
didn't give up.
Part of it I didn't, and I had a friend who was doing it, and I really wanted to be in it with her.
Hmm. Cool.
But there was something about writing that made me, again, feel like I could bridge these worlds that I had my different feet in.
Mhm.
Apparently, sounds like I have 8 feet. Um,
Are you a spider?
yeah. So then I started a novel, in the undergraduate class, and that person became my thesis advisor, and then I wrote the first part of it, and I got a Dean's Honor Award for that, um, undergraduate thesis. So
Wow, you go, girl. That's amazing.
but yeah, saying yes to someone who said, "I suggest this. I can see something for you in this," and me not even being able to recognize it myself, and someone saying, "I think this path could be for you."
And that's a testament to, I talked about this actually in the episode that's coming out tomorrow with Doug Eck from Google. I was like, how does a guy from South Bend, Indiana get a PhD in computer science and cognitive science and end up being a senior research director at Google? And he was like, well, I had a conversation with someone sometime and they encouraged me to go back and get my PhD. And that conversation changed my life. Like, the power of one conversation and a little bit of encouragement versus how many of us get feedback from a young age, well, you're not creative, or maybe you shouldn't pursue that, or, and those things stick with us. So both the positive and the negative. Um,
It's incredible. I actually had an essay published recently about, someone in graduate school saying you can't do it.
mm,
Um, and, I think it's called "A Closed Door is Not a Wall" or something like that, but this,
hmm
like, someone in position of power.
Yeah.
These 2 people kind of in my life, one saying, "Go for it," and the other one saying, "You can't do it," and, how I floundered for a little while.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think in the essay, I talk about how, like, story was a dangerous distance from me.
That's a beautiful turn of phrase.
Like, and I needed to bring it back, like, bring the creative, relationship back.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think, again, it really illustrates that we have to believe in ourselves, even if other people aren't believing in us at that moment. Like you applied 3 times to the creative writing program at Santa Cruz, and you didn't give up. You got some positive feedback, you got some negative feedback, but you kept going. And I think, that's the key. So many people you hear about their trajectory and their arc in creative paths or in life more broadly. And so much of it is about persistence, maybe even more so than raw talent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Persistence is huge, and I think there's this for me, having grown up in a, pretty strict religion, and I'm not part of that religion anymore, but I thought for a long time that, like, faith wasn't mine because I wasn't in that religion, and
Mm,
actually where faith has come is in creative process.
mm,
So it's not like it's a persistence in the process,
yeah.
and of course, there's ego involved, but in a way, it's like, "Oh, I'm beholden to these things that I could bring into the world, and I have to believe in them. I have to have faith in the process." Even when it feels like, "Oh, I'm not sure what to do with this. I need to wait and gain the skills."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. So, um, I guess I'll share a little bit about my trip this summer. I talked about it before I went, in some of our episodes, but now I've gone and come back. So I went to Iceland this summer. I did a month-long artist residency, had lots of fun adventures over there, and then went from there to Ireland, presented at a conference with some friends and colleagues, and then shot a music video in the southwest of Ireland. So stay tuned. That'll be coming out at some point. But, you know, like taking a leap to apply for something, and then going and embracing it. I used the time at the artist residency to work primarily on my music, which was it was so amazing to just have time and space to just sit there for hours and work on a song. I had a bunch of song ideas, but they weren't fully developed. And just to have like open time to work on it, such a beautiful luxury and a gift. And I got to go to an amazing place in the process, two amazing places, so it's like we're talking about sort of creativity as a path of adventure. And,
Mhm.
I met a woman at the residency who kind of is like a residency hopper. There are people that just go around the world and do these artist residencies and spend a month here and a month there. And, it's kind of a cool thing if you can
Yeah.
swing it, you know? Yeah.
So, same question back at you. What would 17-year-old Melinda have thought of Ireland music video?
Yeah. I mean, I think I would have been like, "Yes, let's do it." You know? But, maybe not knowing quite how to get there,
Mm,
right?
mhm. And so, that partly closing the gap on how to do the thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, oh, an artist residency is a thing that you can do, and, like, how do you find them, and how do you apply for that? And, I think you've inspired me with that because 'cause you've done a number of writing residencies. And, I mean, I was familiar with the concept, and I've done, one in Mexico previously, but, um just again, seeing other people do it. Like you said, your friend was in the program, you want to do it with her. We get inspired by each other. And that's part of it. The places that you go is the people that you meet along the way. And once you start to sort of build your tribe of fellow creatives, we inspire each other to do things maybe we wouldn't have done otherwise.
And I think, like, the the being open, that other part of creativity is, like, being
Mhm.
open to your ideas and open to adventures and being open to what the definition of creativity can be.
Yes.
So I've been to Burning Man. I've also sat on panels on death and dying, because people wanted to hear a critical thinking approach to death and dying. And I mean, again, 17-year-old Charlotte would be like, "Why? What would I have to offer about that?" But
Mhm.
it's that openness, like, oh, the places you'll go, you can't even anticipate it, and that's also part of the adventure too. It's like,
Yes.
I wonder where I'm gonna go when I say yes to the world if I open up, like, living creatively.
Yeah, and that reminds me of another person who inspired me so many years ago, and I'm not even sure I can remember her name correctly. But when I was in college, my junior year, instead of going abroad per se, I did this semester at sea program, which was not a cruise ship. It was a 135-foot double-masted schooner, and we sailed from Woods Hole, Massachusetts to the Caribbean, and we had to do rotating watch and science experiments in close quarters and,
How long
navigate
was
by
it?
the stars and all this. It was, we did classes for 6 weeks on land in Woods Hole, Massachusetts, and then we were on the ship for 6 weeks. 6
Wow!
weeks, and we left Massachusetts, and we did a transect of the Gulf Stream out in the, middle of the Atlantic, and then went south. Didn't see land for 3 weeks in, like, an old school sailing ship, basically, you know? But anyway, one of the women who was on staff, she was one of the scientists on staff, and she was really cool, and she was a research scientist who had worked, quite a bit in Antarctica. like on a research vessel, and I can say Antarctica, um, and it took a little effort, but I think her name was Maria, I want to say, but anyway, and she was telling me all about her life as a scientist and going to this, basically the South Pole and doing research and biology stuff down there, and it was just like, wow, like that's a thing you can do as a career. How cool, I haven't made it there myself yet, but it was kind of like, wow, I'd love to do that one day. So, we meet people and they broaden our horizons. We take a leap to do one thing that might be out of our comfort zone, and then we meet someone and they've done this other amazing thing, and it just opens up the world.
That's that openness that we were talking about too.
Exactly.
I have one more story.
Yes, please.
Remember when we went on a retreat, you
Yes.
and I, and we stayed at a little cabin, and we went out on a canoe, and there was a water moccasin?
Yeah. And we were, oh, so calm. Let's just go this way.
Yeah. So we're thinking about that, like, if we hadn't been on a creative retreat, we wouldn't have seen a water moccasin, and we wouldn't know how quiet and calm we could be when we needed to be.
Under pressure,
So,
right? We didn't scream and
like,
thrash and tip the boat, Let's
I
just
think
go
that's a snake.
this way.
Oh, I think that's a snake too.
Let's hope it doesn't drop into our boat.
Hallelujah that it did not.
Yes, exactly. So you never know. You never know where your creativity can take you.
Take you to Burning Man. It can take you to sailing ships. It can take you to death panels. It can take you to snakes in Iceland, like all over the place.
All over. Exactly. So what's our pro tip for today?
Our pro tip is to encourage listeners to take a leap, take a risk, say yes to the next wild request in your life, whether it comes from inside or outside of yourself. So,
and it could be the Nile.
It could be the Nile.
Be Egypt.
It could be. It could be. But I think what we're suggesting is if there's a part of you that's a little bit like, I want to do something a little bit out of my comfort zone, and I want to say yes to that, but I'm uncertain. We're encouraging you to say yes, and you never know what that will, in itself, it has value, but you also don't know where that will lead. And probably it will open up things you couldn't anticipate or even imagine.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful.
Thank you for joining the Syncreate podcast today. Find and connect with us on YouTube and social media under Syncreate. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and leave a review.
We're recording today at Record ATX Studios in Austin, Texas, with Charlotte joining us from the Hudson Valley. The podcast is produced in collaboration with Mike Osborne at 14th Street Studios. Thanks so much for being with us, and see you next time.